Hey everybody, today we are going to begin working with our colored pencil techniques. So the first thing I'd like you to do is, if you were able to print your pictures for your worksheet, go ahead and tape them down into your sketchbook or just put them inside your notebook for this class. If you are not able to print a picture, what I would like for you to do is go ahead and on your screen you're going to be able to see the names of what we're doing. Go ahead and write those down first. So the first thing we're going to work on is creating a color wheel, but a flat one that's known as a value scale, or a color scale is what we are creating. So the first one we're going to start with is red, and I want you just to use what you have. So if you notice, I have this one, and it's going to be a little darker than a normal red, but it's what I have, so it's what we're going to use. And I'm going to continue to use this into the red orange. And the reason we're doing that is because we're trying to blend our colors to create those primary, secondary, and tertiary colors. So I'm going in, colored red, orange, orange, and then I'm going to take a little bit of the orange into the yellow space. Get my yellow colored pencil. Do some layering on top of that, color into the yellow and a little bit into the yellow green. Start my green right here. And you're basically coloring over 3 of those letters at a time to create your sections of color. Then we're going to come in with our blue violet. And we're going to color our violet all the way over to the red violet and then begin working in there. All right. So that's what a color wheel would look like if it were flattened, with the primary colors, red, yellow, and blue, secondaries, which are orange, green, and violet, and then our tertiaries or intermediate colors, which is red, orange, yellow, green, blue, violet, and red, violet. Now we're going to begin with our different techniques. So the first technique we're going to talk about today is called cross hatching, which is where you would take lots of different directional lines and cross them over each other. So they could be diagonal lines like this, they could be vertical and horizontal lines, however you feel like you like. The next one we're going to work on is called sgraffito. So sgraffito is where you take a base color that's light, so I'm using yellow, and then you take a second color and you layer on top of it, and then you take something that you can scrape up that first color with. So you could use the end of scissors, you could use a paper clip that you opened, you could use a letter opener. So I'm going to use a letter opener, and I'm going to come in and I'm basically just scraping away the green. Okay, so you can kind of see where it's lightening up. This is a good technique if you're trying to add texture onto something and create an image where you want to see the background color and the foreground color. If it doesn't work the first time you try it, you can always just go back in and press down a little bit harder with that lighter color. Come back in with your darker color. And if you do that, it's actually going to create the opposite effect and give you more definition where you carved it out. So there's 2 ways to do sgraffito. Stippling is just taking your pencil and tapping lots of dots onto it. Erasing out is where you would come in with maybe a blue colored pencil. And let's say I wanted to put some clouds in this sky that I've just created. I would take just a normal eraser and I could come in and start erasing sections that give you the illusion of clouds or whatever is behind the picture. The next one is called gradual, and that's where you either start light or dark and you work your way the opposite way. So you could start light, and then the darker you want your color to get, the harder you press down with your pencil. The pressure is what changes. So, and it goes from light to dark just with the difference of pressure from your pencil. The next one we're going to talk about is called scumbling, and that's where you just make lots of really fun, swirly, almost scribbles to fill in your section. All right, layering is one of my favorites. So you could come in and color half of your block one color, so I'm choosing yellow. And then the next color, you would go the opposite way. And what happens is when you're layering these colors, they begin to mix. So you can see that you have blue and yellow, which turns into a green color. Directional marks are really fun to do if you are creating hair. So like if you wanted your character to have super fluffy eyebrows, you could do something like that. If you wanted them just to have a couple of spikes of hair on the top, you could do something like that. If you wanted them to have a crazy kind of curvy mustache, you could do something like that. It's totally up to you what you use directional marks for, but they're really good for adding textures or different types of lines for hair or fabric or grass. The last one is called burnishing, and burnishing is where you take your pencil and you hold it at a slight angle. So you're not holding it like you're writing, you're holding it down, and you are pressing down with very significant pressure, almost like you were at the very end of your gradual, so that you have one solid layer of color, and you're building up these colors. Now you can do burnishing with just one color and continuing to add, or you can mix colors in by pressing down. And let's say I wanted to lighten up one of the sides. And the way you'll know that it's been burnished is that it feels really waxy and smooth to the touch. So those are the techniques we're going to learn for being able to add textures and colors and emphasis to our characters. I can't wait to see what your stuff looks like.